Welcome everyone to our webinar, Migrate to Bulk Mailer and Go Full Service. I'm Jerisa Chang, Marketing Promotion Specialist here at Satori Software and your moderator for the next hour. A few housekeeping items before we get started. If you have any questions at any time during the presentation, feel free to send them over. You can submit them in the box to your right. We'll try to get through as many questions as we can at the end of the presentation. However, if we don't get around to answering all of them, we'll make sure to follow up with those ones afterwards. And just a heads up, the session is being recorded and will be available on our website shortly. So joining us is Randy Walker, our Solutions Engineer. Randy has been with Satori Software for 8 years and initially started out in technical support for 3 years prior to taking on his current role. As a Solutions Engineer, Randy is an integral part of the sales team and takes the lead on many demonstrations, works on proof of concept, and helps in any way he can in the pre-sales process. As you'll soon find out during the demo, Randy is a valuable technical resource for us here at Satori Software. In this webinar, Randy will take you through an in-depth bulk mailer demo showing you a side-by-side comparison of bulk mailer and the SAP PostalSoft desktop solution that you are used to. He'll also talk a little bit about full service and what you can do to continue receiving your automation discounts in 2014. Since we have a lot to cover today, I'll now pass it off to Randy.
Thank you, Jerisa. So I wanted to start off right now by talking about the key terminology and comparisons between the two products, mainly the PostalSoft and then how it correlates back to bulk mailer. For an example, a job in PostalSoft is referred to as a mailing in bulk mailer. I'm not going to go through all of these, however, I will refer back to those throughout the demonstration. In bulk mailer, all of the jobs are referred to as mailings and are visible directly on the home screen. Instead of opening a job in PostalSoft, you simply just double-click on a specific mailing in bulk mailer you want to work with. You also have the option to create new mailings here as well. Bulk mailer refers to field mapping during the import process. On the left, you can see bulk mailer screen where you have a visual chain link icon to display the mapped fields, and on the left, the column names are displayed. On the right-hand side of the screen, you're familiar with the PostalSoft, which allows you to use the lines as a visual indicator on which field is mapped. Transitioning to bulk mailer in regards of address correction, the settings are all relatively simple, straightforward, and very similar between the two products. DPV, lax link, and sweet link are industry standards for CAS and are performed by default with bulk mailer. All of the other address settings can be found here, including casing, dual address options, suffix, unit designator, and more. Presort functionality in both PostalSoft and bulk mailer use a side-by-side step approach, or I should say a step-by-step approach, to selecting the appropriate options for a mailing. Satori's Presort is very intuitive and guides you through the specifications to keep in compliance with the DMM. I'm also going to be spending some extra time here explaining how to utilize our product for full service. Here's a quick look at one of the reports that we generate. As you can see, Satori Software's reporting engine produces easy-to-read PDFs. Lastly, I wanted to give you a quick look at the label designer in bulk mailer. As with PostalSoft desktop products, you get an easy visual-to-use editor to design your labels. The purpose of showing you some of these side-by-side screenshots is to help get you comfortable with the transition from PostalSoft desktop to bulk mailer. Although different, the core elements are there. It's just a simple matter of learning how to do what you're used to within PostalSoft in bulk mailer. And so now I'm going to get into the product demonstration. I wanted to start by taking a few minutes and getting everybody familiar with the home screen. From the home screen, you'll see here, these are actual files that you can work with any of the mailings. And then again, to open one, you just simply double-click on it, and it will open. So if I double-click, you'll see it folds. And then this is an important screen here, this data detail screen. It's going to show you how many records are in the total file, what mailing you have open, the group that you're in, and groups refer back to record select, and I'll get into that in a little more detail as we go along. And then the current count, which is affected by which group you're in. down here in the status, this is where you can come to reprint reports if you didn't print them throughout the process. And so to access that, you just simply select the mailing you want to come back and reprint the report for, and then select the appropriate report. This navigation bar down here on the left, this is a chronological or a step-by-step approach to all the common tasks that you're going to need in order to complete a mailing. And so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring up PostalSoft and go through creating a file and importing records, and then I'll associate that back with bulk mailer. So I'm just going to start by clicking New, and now I can give this a name here. And I'm just going to call it Demo 2 and click Next. I'm not going to change any of the field mappings or the lengths. I'm just going to go ahead and create a basic file and then click Finish. Okay, so now it's created that file. The next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to import the records. So I'm going to go to the Import Data, and I'm going to select a demo list, and from here I'll import the same records into bulk mailer so you can see side by side. So I'm going to come in here and I'm going to grab a comma delimited demo list. It's going to select all the appropriate options for me. I have my mapping here. I know from previous experience that the city and states are a little bit off, so I'm going to go ahead and align those up for us. And zip code. Now I have everything mapped. I'm going to go ahead and say Finish. I get the truncation error saying that one of the fields was longer than the specified limits. So I'm just going to say OK with that. You'll notice that it's imported the 2011 records. And now I'm going to go back to bulk mailer and do the same thing. So in bulk mailer, I'm just going to go ahead and double-click on the new mailing wizard, and I'm going to create a brand new mailing. So I'm going to create a blank mailing. We also have an option to create a mailing and use an existing import template to import the records in. And templates refer back to load plan or load information in PostalSoft. So I'm going to go ahead and click Next. By default, we'll give it a date and timestamp, so I'm just going to leave it a date and timestamp and say Finish. I have a mailing open, so it's going to ask me to close that. I'm going to say yes. It's created the new file. You'll see a new line item here. Everything is in bold. And down here I have a current count of 0, because now I need to import records. So to do so, I'm just going to go to the Import-Export section. I could use one of these existing templates, and again, templates are a load a plan or load information that can be applied to any file you have open in bulk mailer. So the home screen is the only place that you're working with files. All the rest of the sections are templates that can be applied to any one of those files. I'm going to go ahead and click on the Import Wizard, click Next past the Welcome screen. Here's where I'm going to select the file that I want to import. So I'm going to go ahead and select the same file and click Open. One of the things I did want to cover here is the various different formats that we can open. And so we can import various different, just about any kind of text file, Excel file, existing PostalSoft or DBase files can be imported into bulk mailer, Access, even XML. So with that, I'm going to go ahead and cancel that. I'm going to click Next. It's giving me a raw preview of what the data looks like in the data file. And so over here, I'm going to go ahead and click Next. And now it's showing me after it's reconciled it with a delimiter of a comma, the double quote. If I had the first row here that contained the field names, I could select that. And what that's going to do for me when I select that is it's going to move that first row up into the column headers. And this is really helpful for mapping on the next screen. If my first row was the header, and this was, for example, first name, last name, it would have recognized that and auto-mapped. So I'm going to go ahead and click Next. And now we get to the mapping screen. So it didn't map anything because it didn't have a column header. So now I'm going to manually map these. I'm going to go ahead and say Map. The next one is last name. I can either double-click on it, or I can click the Map button. I'll scroll down here. I'll import the business, address line 1, city, state, and zip code. I can map as many of these fields or as little of them as I want. Obviously, the address information is important, but if I had maybe an account number or some other data that I wanted to bring in, we have user-defined fields that you can map those to. So you have user text 1 through 5. If you needed more, you could click on the Show All fields, and that's where you can get into maybe importing a piece weight, a piece thickness, or various information that you require to bring into your mailing. I'm going to click Next. I can save this as a new template and use this for future mailings if I wanted to. So I'm going to just call this Demo 2 to keep it simple and straight, and click Finish. You'll notice I didn't get a truncation error here, and when I created the file, I didn't have the option to limit or expand the field lengths, and that's because bulk mailer will default to field lengths and then auto-expand to cover any information that you may have been truncated. So what happens is it'll expand that field out to the longest value. I'm going to go ahead and say Close here. And now you'll notice that it has the records in my current count and my total count of 2010. And so again, when you're importing the records, you don't have to map all of the fields. They just simply will not get brought into the bulk mailer program. And so now the next thing I'm going to do is the views. You saw on the Postal Soft Business Edition, the view was right there on the home screen. Well, within bulk mailer, you go to views and you either have the option of doing a list view or a detail view, which is more of that record view that you saw in Postal Soft. I'm just going to open up the basic address view, and you can see here all the records. You can see where they've been mapped to. You can make any edits to this if you would like, or if I wanted to see the detail view, I can just click on that and see the detail view as well. Next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to switch back to Postal Soft, and I'm going to go through the correct of addresses or correcting of the addresses. It's asking me to back up the file. I'm just going to say no here. You'll see we have all of the options that you're familiar with here, and so that's how I would go through running address correction in Postal Soft. Let's see how to do that in bulk mailer. I'll go back to bulk mailer. I'll go to the address quality section. In the address quality section, we have the CAS, which will allow you to run your records through the address correction. Move update, which will allow you to run through a 48-month NCOA linked database that's integrated directly in bulk mailer. So you don't have to outsource that to Peachtree or Lorton anymore. Duplication search can be found here. Merge purge, if you're going to merge multiple lists together. And data services, which is more of your extended services, allows you to do walk sequence append and other suppression type activities. And I'll get into that in a little bit more here in a second. So with the address correction portion, you'll see here, now you have multiple different options, all the same familiarity as you do with the Postal Soft product. So I'm going to go ahead and say OK here. I'm going to go through correcting my records. In addition, there is an unlimited move update with bulk mailer, and so if you wanted just to skip the address correction and apply the move update to your list, you can do that. Address correction will get applied during the time of searching through the NCOA link database or the move update option. I'll go into that here in a second. I see a question that comes in about first, middle, and last name in one field. We do have a full name field that you can import it in, and it will parse it out and put it into the appropriate fields. So I'm going to go ahead and view this PDF. Here's that CAS summary report. Gives you all the statistics and the information. Go ahead and close this. Close the address correction portion. And now I'm going to go right into the move update. But before that, I'm going to come back to Postal Soft and go up here to the, the Tools, Services, Extended Services, where you would come to access that NCOA link or the DSF squared. And this is how you would do it in Postal Soft. And again, back in bulk mailer, it's integrated, so you go right into the Start button, and you'll get a welcome screen, a login, and then you can continue on with your options for the move update. So I'll click Next. I'll log in here. I'm going to process the list. We have matching logic. So we have, you can search for business, individual, first and last names, or family. This first option will cover all moves that are possible within the NCOA link database, or you can limit it down. If you have multiple names on your records, such as you have a Jane and John Doe, or Jane Smith and John Doe, you can search for the appropriate option there. So you can essentially do household search here, or you can do individual search, or you can just skip that record. The first one I find is the most common, household. We are a full service provider of the 48-month NCOA linked database, so we'll go back the full 48 months, or you can limit it down if you would like. But again, we will search the full 48 months. Class of mailing, you can specifically state what type of class of mailing you're doing. All will cover all. The review new addresses. I'm going to keep the show review window open so you can see the moves that have been returned. However, in a production environment, I would probably skip these and just accept all the moves. So I'm going to go ahead and click Next. Here's where address correction comes in. So here's how I can control the address element format, casing, maybe some of the uncorrected records, try to update those when possible in order to get more corrected records. I'm going to go ahead and click Next. And again, I have the unlimited account, so I'm going to go ahead and click Finish. At this point, what it's going to do is it's going to reach out to our servers. It's going to stream the data in a real-time data stream and return them directly back to bulk mailer. Okay, it's corrected those 2010 records. It's showing me the original address. The after address correction has been applied, the new address, and then what type of a move it was, the date, and the name used. There's 17 of them, so I'm just going to go ahead and accept this one, show you the second one here, and when I'm comfortable, I can just go ahead and say accept all, and it'll update all the records. So here's some of the statistics, and then I'm going to view these reports. Again, we do apply address correction, so that's this report here. The second one is your processing summary report, proof that you've ran it through the NCOA link database. Some things to note here are the utilized processes. You have NCOA link, CAS, DPV, LashLink, and SweetLink, all applied simultaneously. And then some of the statistics, 17 new, 2 addresses were unavailable, and then some of the legends down here and other useful information. Go ahead and close that and close that. Next is the duplication search. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to jump back into PostalSoft and go to the Find Duplicate. Okay, so you have the various different actions that you're going to apply during address or duplication search. Your rule book, what rules you're going to apply to the duplication strategy, and then the actions you're going to take, and then finally the last screen, that's the summary. Within bulk mailer, I'm going to go into the duplication search here, click Start. We have this step-by-step wizard approach, and so this welcome screen will get very familiar to you. And here's our duplication search templates, or those strategies, the rule book that you're used to. So I'm just going to select one out of the list here, demo list. I can make any changes to this as I go along. So if, for example, I didn't want to use zip code, I can simply just uncheck it. So I'm going to leave that checked. I'm going to use last name, exact, or I could make it loose. Address line, ignore some of the address elements. First name. Okay, so I'm satisfied with that. I'm going to go ahead and click Next. If I had additional information in a user text field, maybe an account number or some other data element that I wanted to search with, I could simply just select whichever field it was that I wanted to search with, and I could check that box, and it would use this field during the duplication search algorithm. I'm going to go ahead and click Next. The group processing options. This is where you can get into a little bit more advanced features of our duplication search. I didn't mention this earlier, but you can also import multiple lists into the same mailing. So if I was to import in 2 or 3 lists, I could use this creation date oldest first, which would give me the very first list that I've imported in a bulk mailer. Newest first would give me the last one I've imported in a bulk mailer. Or if I went into the view section and I made any edits, I could come in here and use the modification date, and any of the records I affected during move, or during the views, will be the highest priority record. Group action. I can delete all the records that have been found as a duplicate, or I can mark those and then query off those using groups, or as you're used to, the record select. Apply action to, I can apply action to all but the first record and group, which will give me just one unique record for any duplicate it found. I can remove all of the records that it found as a duplicate, or just the very first instance of that record. And a group is 2 or more of the same records. So I'm going to leave that all there and click Next. I can save this as a new name if I'd like. However, I'm just going to leave it Demo and click Finish. And I selected Delete these records during this process, and maybe I made a mistake. Well, you can always go back and undo the deletion. We will mark them for deletion, remove them out of the data details down here, but then you can go back and using the file, manage deleted records and recover any of those deleted records. So here I'm comfortable it's found this as a duplicate. I'm going to go ahead and process it. There was only one duplicate in this file, so I'm just going to go ahead and click Close. You'll see that it has removed it from the current and total count. And so the next thing I can do is I can run through data services if I want, or I can group. Maybe I want to get all my all move update records, or the filter to select my all move update records. Before I switch back to PostalSoft, I'm going to go into the data services and talk a little bit about the services that we include within bulk mailer. So I'm going to go ahead and click Next, log into here. So the services that we offer is a head of household, an apartment number append. So if you have missing or invalid apartment numbers, you can use this service to clean up your list. We have an NCOA, which is an enhanced change of address database. It uses information outside of the USPS's NCOA link database. It will use proprietary data such as newspaper, magazine subscriptions, and utility bills, that type of thing. Block sequence append is available here as well, so you can access that DSS squared information. I'll click Next. We also offer a suppression suite. So these are the National Do Not Mail, the deceased registry, correctional facility lists, and you can clean up your list a little bit more there as well. So I'm going to go ahead and cancel out of this. And then, again, before I show you the Presort in PostalSoft, I'm going to go to the groups and talk a little bit about these groups that we have here, which, again, correlates directly back to where you're doing your record select in PostalSoft. So if I wanted to target maybe just the all move update records, I can double click on that. It's showing me those 19 records that have been found as a move. 17 were good. 2 of them came back as being unavailable for some reason. And I can use the views to come in and see why those records were unable to come back with the NCOA footnotes. And so you can see we have various different predefined groups. If you don't see a group here that fits your needs, you can double-click on this group wizard, and in the group wizard here, you can define your own specific criteria to search on. So if I wanted to do first name, starts with, contains, there's various different options you can use here. I'm not going to spend too much time on the groups. We will have an advanced feature or webinar that I will go through in detail the group section. So I'll just cancel out of that. And remember down here, this data details, it's very important. So the group I'm in now is the all move update records. So if I wanted to focus on just those, maybe I wanted to export those. So I could come into the export section and export these records out. So I'm just going to leave the default. It's going to output a text file. Or I could come in and select any of the same options that I did for the import section. I can definitely come in and do that as well. So I'm just going to save that as a date timestamp. Click Next. Now I can select any of the fields that I want to export out. This is essentially just a reverse of the import section. So I'll grab the appropriate fields here. And then a couple more important ones to note is the move effective date, the move update information. So I'm just going to go ahead and select those ones. And that will let me identify which records have moved when and where. I'm going to click Next. It's showing me a raw output. I'm going to go ahead and select the first row is the field name, so it'll output column headers for me. Click Next. Now I can give this a name. I'll just call this Demo 2 or Move Update. I'll just stick with Demo 2 and click Finish. Now it's exported out those 19 records. I can close this, and now I have just those Move Update records. So now I'm going to go back to the groups, and I'm going to select my All Active Records so I affect all the records at this time, and you'll see the current count change once I do this. Now we're in the 2009 records. So now it's time to do Presort. So I'm going to go ahead and switch back to PostalSoft. I'm going to cancel and go into Sort for Mailing. I'm going to do the all non-deleted records. And so here you can see that I can give it a job description. I can load this piece information, or the load info that I refer back to as our templates. I'm just going to go ahead and load one of these. Click Next. You have your various options here. I'm sure you're all familiar with all of these. Go ahead and click Next. My permit information, I'll go ahead and load the sample permit that I have already predefined. It's going to tell me that my dates are a little off. I need to make sure that my estimated mailing or is today or later, and have it back quite far. And so at this point, what I'm going to do is I'm going to switch back to Bulk Mailer and show you an in-depth look at our Presort wizard. So again, I want to make sure I look down here in this total, or the current count, make sure I'm affecting the records that I want to pre-sort, and I'm going to the Mail Sort section. Here I'm going to double-click on the Mail Sort wizard, and then I'm going to click Next on the Welcome screen, and you'll see here we have various different options as far as the first class, periodical, standard. We even have some package services. Before I get too far in here, you'll see some line items here. These are templates that I've already ran through and selected what type of mailing, what permit, everything. So this template section here is more like your load plan within the Presort wizard in your PostalSoft software. I'll go with a standard machinable letter, and if I don't know what the dimensions are, it shows me right here as far as for a letter, a flat. And so it takes any of the guesswork out if I just don't know. So I'm going to go ahead and make sure that the height and the width, the thickness, and the piece weight are all correct. If I was doing billing statements, for example, and I had the thickness and the weight for each record, I can select mixed weight, and it will produce that manifest report at the end of the Presort wizard. Click Next. Here's where I'm going to define my mail drop zip code, the mailing date, any of the permit information I have. And so let me just open up one of these permits and show you what this looks like. So here's a template that I have predefined. I'm going to go ahead and click Next. For this mailing, I'm going to be the mail owner. However, if I was mailing on behalf of somebody, I would be acting as the agent. I can select which permit I'm using for that. However, I'm going to keep it simple for this webinar. I have the permit number. This is a metered permit. It's given me some information here as far as the issuing post office. Click Next. Here's my permit information, including my customer registration ID that's required for the full service. So here's where you put in your CRID and then your MID. If you had more than one, you could go into the settings, put in more than one MID. I'll click Next. If I had a secondary permit information, here's where I put that. And then I can save this as a new name, or just because I'm showing you what the templates look like, I'm going to leave it the same and click Finish. And so now it has that template selected for my permit. I'm going to go ahead and click Next. This is the Mail.dat screen. Here's where you're going to enter in your ID Alliance code and any of the contact information and facility information to generate those electronic postage statements or the Mail.dat files. We keep current on the version, so you'll see that there's always one version behind and then the latest version. I know 14.1 is available now, and that would be included in the next update. Sort levels. So this is a drip system or a filter system as you're used to within PostalSoft. So I have my carrier route walk sequence, which is going to try for saturation rates if I had walk sequence numbers against this list, automation and non-automation. So it's going to try for the different levels until it can't sort them anymore. We have some advanced options, including you can use pallets here, so you can palletize your mail. I'm going to go ahead and click Next. Intelligent Mail Settings. This is a very important screen for bulk mailer. Here's where you're going to come in and you're going to select your full service intelligent mail, which will encode the barcode with the correct service type. If I was using any address change service, I could come in here, select which one I'm using. And again, these are going to code the service type and the intelligent mail barcode appropriately depending on which options you set. IMB tracing, we have the confirm service or the IMB tracing directly integrated within bulk mailer as well. And so if I select that option, I have the ability to either use my own tracing service and then import my tracking numbers down here, or I could use EasyTrack and allow me to take care of all that information directly within bulk mailer. Additionally, I can upload additional information such as business, address, contact name, or even a custom identifier such as an account number that I maybe have imported into a text field. So I'm going to go ahead and deselect the IMB tracing service. Sequencing, we will take care of sequencing for you automatically. You can manually do that, or again, if you are importing your own sequence numbers for maybe tracing or an in-house unique sequencing algorithm you have, you can select that here and use the user field. So by selecting full service intelligent mail, this will make me compliant with the full service requirements, and then I just have to upload the Mail.dat to Postal One. Eligibility discounts, if I was using any of the nonprofit or the mobile buy it now, any of the promotions that the post office provides, we'll select that for you here. You can drop your mail on SCF or an NDC for additional discounts. Plant verified drop shipment is available here as well. So let me open that up. One of the features that we have here is this analyzed list. So if I wanted to decide real quick if it was worth trying to take it to a drop and how far away it is, I can come in here and see how many pieces and the total weight that would be going to each SCF and then subsequently the NDC as well. I'm going to go ahead and cancel that, unselect the plant verified drop shipment, click Next. This screen is unique to the meter type permit. This will allow me to calculate the minimum postage so I don't have to change my meter machine. The last screen here is the tray label layout. I'm going to select the intelligent mail container. Again, that's required for full service. It's going to give me my intelligent mail barcode on the container label. I can define how big my labels are or what the dimensions are here. And then I put my mailer information on the label. So then I get to the summary screen. Here's where I can save this as a new template. If I have reoccurring mailings, this makes it nice and easy. I don't have to go through that wizard each time it's set up. I can give it a description here. Lets me know what type of mailing I've selected or any notes to help you determine what settings have been selected in that template. Okay, it's sorted this mailing. And at this time, I'm going to go ahead and preview these reports. This first report here is a mail sort summary report. This is unique to bulk mailer. And essentially, it's all of the settings that you've selected within the pre-sort wizard. So you can quickly go back and make sure that all of your settings have been correct. You have your postage summary down here with the savings and the actual postage amount. Second page of that report. And then we get into the standard mail report here. This is the 3602. It shows me all the information. The second page of this gives me the rate breakdown for automation. Third page will be for my non-automation. I get my qualification report, a blueprint of the mailing. And then another unofficial report is this container listing report. And this is very useful for the people on the production floor. They can quickly see that the prep here is L. There's a legend at the bottom of here, shows me what kind of container it is. And so I can quickly come and see that, okay, well, this one's loose. I know what L means, and B is bundle. So it has this indicator on there, as well as a legend, which takes out pretty much any of the guesswork for the people that are actually packaging your mail in the production floor. And then lastly, we get to the tray labels. You have your intelligent mail, any of the information for that container here. If I had pallets selected, there would be pallet placards at the end of this as well. So I'm going to go ahead and close that. Your Mail.dat files can be saved here. You just select where you would like to save those off, and then you can upload those to Postal One. So you'll notice now my first level of sort is automation instead of carrier route walk sequence, and that's because I didn't have any walk sequence numbers for this list, so it fell into that second level of sort, and then lastly the third. So I'm going to go ahead and close this, and real quick I'm going to make note of this last pre-sort results. We're in the group last pre-sort results, which will order the mailing from beginning to end as if you pre-sort it, so it's in pre-sort order. Back in PostalSoft, again, you have your export data. I'm going to skip over that. Your print reports, I covered that. That is in the home screen and it's available for any mailing at any time. Print labels, I can come in here and print labels if I want. I didn't sort it, so I can come in and I can design my own label if I want, or browse. You're familiar with how to set up your print labels, so I'm going to quickly skip over this portion of PostalSoft and go right into the print mail section in bulk mailer. So I'm going to go ahead and create a brand new print mail template and show you how this works. So we have a few different options here that you can select for creating a print mail template. Labels, if you were actually printing on a sheet of labels, you could select that. You're printing directly on the envelopes and you have a graphical output printer, you would select that. The majority I find is the graphical output. If you have any of your old printers, you can use your plain text and will allow you to be backwards compatible with those older printers as well. So I'm going to select the envelopes graphical, click next. Here's where I can select any of the printers I may have. In this one I have a Arena Imager 1.5. So I'm going to go ahead and select that and make sure that I have this direct impression selected here. So then what I'm going to do is I'm going to scroll down in the list of available printers. Satori software authors a lot of these print drivers that will be directly used with bulk mailer. So that way you get better control over your printing capabilities. And so you'll see here that it's a fixed head printer and the printing area is 1.5 inches. I could limit that down, and that represents each of the ink cartridges in that printer. And so when I get to the end, I'll only have 1.5 inches of printable area, and so that's where I'll be able to put my labels, or my address block rather. So I'm going to click next. Select what type of a mail piece this was. It was a number 10 envelope, so I'm going to go ahead and leave that and click next. Our address block options, you can create any one of these address blocks. The barcode is one of the most important pieces of that. And then so I'm just going to use the address block with a barcode and endorsement line. And now I can give this a new name. I'll just call this Demo 2 Arena 1.5 for the description, so I know that this is for Arena 1.5, and click Finish. I mentioned earlier that you only have that 1.5 inches, and that's because of the type of printer I had. If I was using a laser inkjet, you would see the full envelope mail piece rather than just the printable area. So I'll move the address block where I want. We are what you would get, or what you see is what you get type printing application. So when I go up here and I click on this preview, you'll see that this is the first record in the list. Well, these dotted lines here, they represent unprintable area. And so you'll see that some of this is running over that unprintable area. That's your visual indicator to align the address block so it'll print over the print heads smoothly. So I've almost got it there. What I'm going to do is I'm going to come back, and now I can use the arrow keys, and I'll just tap down once on the arrow key down, and that nudges it down just a little bit and then gets it a better align for me. And so at this point, if this is all I wanted to print on the mail piece, I could absolutely just go to the print section here, and I can print either the current page to make sure that I have everything aligned right, all pages. I can do ranges. There's a whole bunch of options you can do here, either by tray. I can pause in between Either I can wait or do it by bundle or container. And I just click print, and it'll start printing the mail pieces for me. Go back to the design view. If I wanted to edit this, I could absolutely edit it. I can add database fields if I want. So here I can add a database field, put any information on this mail piece that I want. I can type directly on here too. And that'll be static text that is across every single mail piece. So if I had a message I wanted to put on, that's how I would do that. And you can change the font and everything. If I wanted to get rid of it, I just select it, and I'm going to hit the delete key. I'm not going to go into too much detail here as far as all the options due to time constraints. However, this is another section I will cover in the advanced section of the advanced webinar that I'm going to do. I believe it's next week. It's asking me if I want to save this. I'm going to go ahead and say yes. And now it's saved all those changes. I have this new line item here, and it shows me the date that it was modified. The next portion of bulk mailer is this submit section here. This is where I could submit my mailings directly to the Postal One service within bulk mailer. I mentioned Mail.dat earlier. However, bulk mailer also has the option to submit Mail.XML files, and they're generated with our eDoc add-on as well. So when you get your software, you have the option of both, either your Mail.dat or your Mail.XML, depending on what you would like to communicate the postage statements to the post office with. Track, mail tracking, again, I mentioned that during Presort, is available within bulk mailer. And so we have two flavors of it. We have a snapshot, which will give you an overview of the entire mailing. It'll show you what pieces were delivered on what day. It'll give you percentages and estimated delivery times based off of when mail is getting delivered. Our Easy Track Complete option will allow you to get a lot more granular. You can custom create your own reports. You can make and schedule automated reports where they're either emailed or FTP'd to a specific location that you define, as well as individual piece tracking lookups. So you can look up a specific piece. Maybe you've uploaded an account number and you want to track that through the mail stream. You can do that with Easy Track Complete. Lastly, this job builder here is a way that we can automate all the tasks that we've done today. And I will go through this in great detail with the next session. However, what I wanted to do here is I wanted to open up one of these jobs and kind of show you what it's doing. So this is where I have the ability to link all of those templates that I have selected and created today together. So I have this create mailing. This is going to auto-generate a new file for me. I can import based off of a template. So I'm going to import the demo lists. I'm going to do the CAS on this. However, this may be the unlimited move, so you go through the move processing. You can search for duplicates using a specific template there as well. I can group the records if I'd like, and mail sort. I'm going to sort them out, and then lastly, print. So what I've just done with this job here, or what this job demonstrates, is the features to automate a mailing if you have reoccurring mailings. So you set it up one time, and then the next time, if you want to run the job, you can just run it here. Or if I just say OK, I can right-click on this, and I can just say Run Sample Job, and it will do all those steps that have been predefined for that job. So that will allow me to save a lot of time on my recurring mailings. So at the home screen, I mentioned that I can come back in and I can reprint any of these reports. We give you a history of the reports and how they were ran and when they were ran on a file. So if I wanted to go back on the historical and get a different list of moves, I can absolutely do that. So when I preview these, you'll see that I get the CAS summary report, the NCOA link summary report, and that's how we can come back in and reprint reports as well. And that's going to conclude the demo for now. I'm going to go ahead and hand it back over to Teresa to talk about our extended resources.
Great. Thanks, Randy. Before we start Q&A, I do want to talk a little bit about our extended resource offerings. There are two key areas on our website you may find useful. Under the Support tab, you'll be able to find tech notes and express demos which cover a single action or topic. In addition, we offer a variety of recorded and live online training classes designed to provide you with a basic introduction of using our solutions. You can find the schedule and sign up right on the support page. We made it easy for you. Another available resource is our feature request form. We want to get your feedback on what you need in a mailing solution, and we definitely encourage you to submit your feature enhancement requests online. In addition, be sure to check out the Learn section on our website. Here you'll find webinars, both live and recorded, articles, white papers, guides, and other mailing resources. You can also subscribe to our monthly newsletter on the envelope to get the latest in industry news, company updates, and events, and a lot more. We want to make sure you have the tools and information you need to keep up with what's going on with the postal industry. And talking about what's going on in the postal industry, if you haven't already heard the news, USPS made an announcement last week in response to the recent PRC ruling to postpone the full service mandate. Based on this decision, mailers can continue to prepare basic intelligent mail barcode mailings and still claim automation rates after the January 26th date. While mandatory full service adoption has been delayed, we strongly encourage mailers to move forward with a full service transition. By making changes now, you'll receive all the benefits, including best discounts, waive permits, and tracking information. And with that said, we do offer many complimentary resources on full service. But if you would like additional support, more of a step-by-step guide, we do offer a complete online training course to help mailers from start to finish become full service compliant. This is a custom training and is intended for Satori software customers, as there is a customized version for each of our product lines. If you are interested and would like to learn more, please visit our website, and the link is right there in front of you on the screen. And I do want to mention that this webinar is being recorded, and not only the recording of this webinar, but also the slide deck to this presentation will be available on our website within the week. All right. So like I mentioned before, we'll try to get through as many questions as we can. For any questions not yet submitted, there's still time. Also, if you have any questions after the webinar, feel free to contact our knowledgeable support team by phone or by email. And all of that contact information is on the screen in front of you as well. All right. It looks like we're getting a lot of great questions. So let's start with the Q&A. Randy?
Thank you. So one of the questions I have here is when you map a field, you have an address column with with the last name and the first name all in one field. Do you have a field to do that? And I believe I kind of addressed that during the webinar. The answer is yes. We have a full name field that will allow you to import in a full name. As well as the full name, we also have a last line field. So if you have city, state, and zip together on one field, you can absolutely map that to our last line field as well, and it will break those apart as well. A customer here is asking, it says, we use Presort views and we do not use PostalSoft Business Edition. Will Presort views be discontinued as well? Absolutely not. Satori Software has bought the intellectual property for Presort views, and we're going to continue to build on that and support that throughout the future. Next question I have here is, if you don't map a field, will it be deleted upon import, and will it be deleted from the source file? We will not touch your source file at all. All we will do is import information directly into bulk mailer, and we'll leave that source file untouched. So the answer is no, we will not delete it out of your source file, and if you don't import it into bulk mailer, it just simply will not be imported. It will be unavailable. Moving down these questions here. Do we still need to use a print shop or equivalent for printing multi-page documents? And multi-page documents, I'm assuming you're meaning like billing statements. And the way we do that is with the mail merge. So you would use a third-party application to print multiple-page documents. We do have a certain amount of flexibility within bulk mailer to print variable data on a single-page document, but that's, again, a single page. Can you compare two different lists in deduping? Can one be used as the control list? Also, can duplication or duplicate addresses be viewed and allow you to choose the record to keep and which to delete? And the answer to that is yes. I didn't cover the merge-purge functionality, but the merge-purge functionality will allow you to import in multiple lists to do an inclusion is what we call it, or what you would be considering as your control list, so you can compare multiple lists, dedupe them, and then compare that against either an inclusion or exclusion list, and then output the results. Duplication search also has that functionality, so you can import multiple lists and then use the creation date to determine which one is your master record, so then you can review those records and determine which one you want to delete out of the records or out of your list. Is there a seminar to run full service? Yes, I believe that was covered in a subsequent slide, and it's also available on our website under the Learn section. I need more information on what's required by the United States Postal Service to use the portal and submitting the Postal One. How do I get started? An excellent place to get started is our training course. That course is designed to let you go at your leisure, so you don't have to do it all in one shot. And essentially, it will make you full service certified through the post office, and that includes interacting with Postal One and all the required steps. What are the steps to take to upload Mail.dat files to the post office to be full service compliant? I covered most of that within the demo. Essentially, you make sure that you put in your MID and your CRID with your permit information. You select the Mail.dat or Mail.XML settings and put in all that appropriate information in the wizard. And then you can submit it one of two ways. You can submit it directly through bulk mailer, or you can log into the postal gateway and upload your Mail.dat files directly there. Move update, selecting mail class. What happens if you select first class instead of all? It will indicate first class on the processing acknowledgement form, or summary report rather, and it'll show first class. The post office may frown on you if you take a standard mail-in with that. However, it is your proof that you've ran it through the NCOA linked data. And so that's essentially what that is it'll just determine what class of mail you're targeting for the list that you're processing through NCOA. Do you have the ability to edit Mail.dat files? And the answer to that is yes. We have a program called Monticello Software and MailDB, and essentially that'll allow you to make any of the post-production edits that you may run into in the production floor. Maybe your piece thickness has changed, and it's a thicker piece, so now you have more pieces that'll fit in a tray. It can create you your logical trays in order to accommodate that with your tray labels and such. It'll allow you to combine multiple little mailings in order to get maybe a deeper discount for drop shipment. You can make partial releases, change mail dates. Any of the things that you're manually doing on the postage statement now can all be accomplished within that Mail.dat editing software. Is there a list of printers that are capable for the full-service intelligent mail barcode? Any printer that supports your TrueType font should and will be capable of printing the intelligent mail barcode. We provide you the font that is needed and the encoded barcode as well as the numeric, so you shouldn't have any problem printing a full-service barcode on your mail piece. Another good question that just came in, and I thank you for asking that, and that is, what is the difference between submitting Mail.dat versus Mail.XML? So you can think of a Mail.XML as more of a text message, whereas Mail.dat is more of an email. And what I mean by that is the Mail.dat, you're submitting the request and you're getting the response back in real time, And it's not like you upload an entire Mail.dat files. It's you go through submitting and transaction, bits and pieces of the mailing until it gets enough information in order for the post office to have all of the information for your mailing. Whereas with the Mail.dat, it's a complete version of every option, everything that has been done to that mailing. If you use a mail house to do mailing, consolidators will want a Mail.dat file. They can't really use a Mail.XML because, again, the Mail.dat is all-inclusive. It has everything, whereas the Mail.XML is just the important information that the post office needs directly. So that's the difference between the two. Mail.dat, there's nothing to real save. It just gets directly communicated through our submit to the post office, whereas the Mail.dat, you actually save off files. We have a database of 60,000 records, and we routinely pull lists for mailings. Is there a limit to the number of records that bulk mailer can handle? And that's a very good question. 60,000 records is rather small, unfortunately. I mean, it's quite considerable, but definitely our software can handle that. Bulk mailer professional can go a considerable amount above and beyond that. But we do have 3 flavors of bulk mailer available. We have bulk mailer standard, we have bulk mailer professional, and business. So if you are a larger mailing and you're doing hundreds of thousands or millions of records through a desktop software, the business may be more aligned to fit your needs. It also has networking capability, and it's a little bit more robust than the professional, but the professional absolutely can handle a few 100,000 records, no problem.
Great. So it looks like we're coming to the top of the hour. You want to answer maybe one more question, Mandy?
I was just going to say, I think that's all the questions that I see here. I was just about to wrap it up, so thank you.
All right, great. So before you wrap up, I do want to note a couple of things. After the presentation, please take a few minutes to complete our short survey. Your feedback will help us improve the quality of our webinars moving forward. And as a reminder, this webinar, like I said before, is being recorded and will be available on our website within the week. You can find this session along with many others on our Archive Sessions page under the Learn tab. So if there aren't any more questions, I want to thank everyone for their time, and we hope you have a great rest of the day.
Thank you, everyone.